Rosario, and you are tuning into Project Life. I'm pretty excited. Every first and third Monday of the month, I will be shooting out a new broadcast about something new, something old, maybe something blue, anything that has to do with life. So in this time, we're doing life together, and today let's talk about something that's been in the mommy world for quite some time, since the age of man began, and that's called mom guilt. Mom guilt is pretty intense. I've been a part of it before, and I'm not saying I'm never going to be a part of it again, because it's a feeling that comes during some pretty exhausting times. Guess what? Dads go through it too, but it's not a catchphrase like mom guilt. So with that said, we're going to be speaking about a few things today about that. And in a recent Parent Magazine study, it stated that 94% of moms go through this. Wow. That's almost every mother on the planet, okay? And it's a big deal. We want to kick ourselves in our behinds about all the things that we're not doing for our family, and we're feeling horrible about it. Recently, I had a question sent to me via Facebook, and I'm letting you know right now, if you have questions, if you want some answers to some things and you want me to talk about it on these broadcasts, please feel free to let me know. You can get a hold of me at Cynthia Rosario on Instagram and Cynthia Rosario on Facebook. Anyway, recently I received this question, and this is what she said. I've raised my kids as a single mom in the church. It's a praying family. I'm not perfect. I had moments where I got mad at God and did not want to follow anything to do with him. In fact, I felt my connection with him grow through time. In like manner, I took my kids with me along the way. I just got texted this week by my college-age daughter that she's moving in with her boyfriend. Cynthia, what did I do wrong? I'm a horrible mother because this has happened to me. She's left the coop. She decided to go away from the principles that this mother had taught her growing up, and she went to move in with her boyfriend. Mom guilt is all over this beautiful woman who sent me this private message on Facebook. And I wanted to talk about that today because we've all gone through that. I've known many families that their kids have left the house, not into marriage, not to live on their own, but just left them completely, don't talk to them anymore, went to live with a boyfriend in the basement of their parents' home. I mean, all sorts of things. And the parents feel guilty. Now, I want to let you know, parent, right now, they're making their own decisions. They have their own mind. You cannot control their thoughts. But in the process, let's talk about some things that we can prevent mom guilt with in the future. Now, what's a pro for mom guilt? Something that's positive when it comes to mom guilt is the understanding that maybe there's something I need to change in my life. Maybe there's something that I need to work on. A lot of times in the church, they want to say, oh no, it's because you're doing everything wrong, or the devil is trying to get into your house, or it's being, the devil's in your kids. I mean, come on. They're using the devil as the biggest excuse in the world to say that there's something wrong with their children, or there's something wrong with the parent. Now, the devil's the devil. The Bible says that he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But there are things that we can see in the process and say, okay, maybe I need to communicate more, which we're going to be talking about a little bit more. Maybe I need to parent my children more and not be their BFF, And that's the second point that I'm going to be speaking about. So when I was talking with this woman and I responded to her and I told her, hey, you did everything you can do growing up. You prayed with your kids. You showed them the word of God. You were there with them when they had an absent father. I'm not saying fathers are absent. I have an amazing husband. I had an amazing father, both super present in my life and my children's life. Yet there are those moments where a father is absent or a mother is absent. So what do? You do the best that you can. When I was starting in ministry, I was very overwhelmed, and I felt like I had mom guilt, but for ministry guilt, because I wasn't doing enough. And someone told me, dear to me, said, you know what, if you're giving your 100% today, spirit, soul, and body, I mean, you can't do more than that. So if you're doing that for your kids, be happy with that. Say, God, I'm giving my all. Because if they do decide to make a bad decision in life and do something and go on their own and mess some things up in their life, those teachings that you gave them while they were being raised, that you talked to them, the love that you poured into them, will in fact turn around. It'll come back. Believe me, it'll come back. How many times have we said to ourselves, you know what? Thank you, mom, or thank you, dad, for teaching me this, because now I get it. They're going to have their moment of epiphany. So just wait on it. One of the things that I want to talk about is that mom guilt sometimes comes in when there's a lack of communication and a lack of self-approval. Come on, somebody. Moms need approval. They need a, hey, you're doing a good job, mommy. Hey, keep going. Dad, good job. Keep going. We need it. We're trying to live in a society where people are telling us, well, you don't need someone to tell you how to do things, and you don't need someone to do this for you and do that for you. I can do it on my own. Yeah, that's good, but at the same time, we're human. We're flesh and bone. We need someone to say, hey, good job. You're doing a good job. So moms out there, I want to encourage you today and say, you're doing a good job. Today is today, tomorrow's another day. Take care of your today, tomorrow will come into place. Good job. Now, you communicate to your kids, to your family, and let them know what's happening and what's going on. There is room to give and gain approval. For instance, if I'm constantly telling my kids, hey guys, this is the plan for the week. My husband, we wake up every morning and we talk about this is the plan for the week. That's a good thing because we're keeping everybody in the same focus. We're keeping them in the same vein. We're letting them know what's going on, what's not going to go on. Nobody in your tribe, nobody in your environment is a mind reader. If you don't properly communicate, there is no way that they're going to properly understand what you have to say. My husband and I are always explaining to our kids, what's the plan? We have an iCal link, and it's called the Rosario Tribe, and all of my children have it on their technical devices, if it's their iPad or their phone, my husband's phone, my phone, and everywhere we go, the family will always knows what's happening. It's a simple jot-in process, but we let them know what's going to happen. But also, during the day, if we're taking them to school, we're letting them know, hey, after school, we're picking you guys up, and we're going to be doing some errands, or we have services tonight, don't forget. Why am I telling you this? Because they have their own way of thinking and processing. What if they had a plan to come home from school and get their homework done? They can feel overwhelmed as well. They can feel that they're not doing enough just as well. You can go through mom guilt. There is such thing as kids going through their own forms of guilt. If they're doing something and they're trying to meet a challenge or they're trying to meet a goal and they feel that they're not going to be approved by you if they don't get it done. And if you switch the switch on them, they're going to feel guilty about that. So this mom guilt situation has become bigger at this point. There's dad guilt, mom guilt, kids guilt. So how to eliminate that in the future? Properly communicate. Take the time. If it's once a week, sit down for half an hour and write out the plan for the week and let everybody know. The family unit reminds me of an infinity sign. Why do I say an infinity sign? Because there's no beginning nor an end. And I placed here in my notes, which is something that God dealt with me greatly, is that family is just that. It's the infinite movement and love of God showing us we are here for each other. No matter if the person is really big as the adult or if the person is small. You see, we are that unit of infinite movement of God's love towards each other. So we need to communicate it. I also want to remind you, your 10-year-old mature son is not an adult. Your teenager is not an adult. Even your college-age son or daughter does not have your age nor the years of your experience to properly understand how to communicate to you if you have never shown it to them. So don't expect your kids to do something that you weren't taught how to do at their age either, unless you properly communicate it to them. Something that God has really been focusing in on me for the past year is that I am the representation of God in my home to my children. That my husband is a representation of God in our home to our family. Why am I telling you this? If you are communicating anger, if you are communicating frustration, bitterness, hate, just this mom guilt that pours out of us, just saying, I'm not enough, I'm not sufficient enough to be the mom that my kids need, I'm not doing enough for them, and it's constantly pouring out of you, you're showing your children, get this, that God is not enough for us. You're showing your children that God, when he gets mad at us as his kids, that he's going to scream at us because he's upset. He's showing us that if he's really bothered and annoyed from us, he's going to ignore us for years on end and not talk to us because he just couldn't have it with us anymore. You see, God our Father is not that to us at all. He's a loving creator. He's a loving Father. But if he has given you children, be it by birth or adoption or guardianship, in any facet, if you are a spiritual mother or father to somebody, if you are a mentor to somebody, that is your responsibility to be the representation of God to that person. It's not just the people that are outside in the streets when you're evangelizing to them, or if you're speaking to someone nicely at the grocery store. No, the real work happens inside the home. And I want to further emphasize that with Ephesians 5:1. It says, therefore be imitators of God as beloved children and walk in love as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us, a fragrant offering and sacrificed to God. Showing God's love is not just for others, it's especially for those who are in your home. Moms, I understand it's so easy to get frustrated. And if you're a Latina like me, I scream or my voice projects, and I've had to learn to keep it down. My husband for years was like, Cynthia, why are you screaming? And I'm like, I'm not screaming, I'm talking. This is just the way I talk. That's not correct behavior. I don't care what part of the island you came from. I don't care what part of this world you came from. There is something called talking voice to your children. There is a strong voice that you can use with them, but you don't have to use a screaming, angry, up in your face voice when there's no need. Because eventually what's going to happen is that the only way your children are going to understand when you're being serious about something is if you're screaming. So my husband put me to the test. Yes, people, this was a test. Years ago, he started putting me to the test and saying, okay, if you're screaming at the kids, let's say for anything, or come down, or do this, do that, are you doing your homework, whatever it may be, or because I was frustrated. And he told me, now talk to them calmly and see if they react. They were not reacting. And I recognized that I had done wrong. I had to ask my father for forgiveness. And that's something else. If you're going through this mom guilt process, stop. Okay, ask God for forgiveness. Say, forgive me, Father, for whatever it is that I'm feeling bad about. In this mother's case that she sent me this private DM, she said, hey, I'm going through this. What do I do? I'm such a bad mom. And so the first thing, just ask for forgiveness. Second thing, you didn't do nothing wrong because you raised her in the process. Yet, if there was something that could have been wrong, you're asking for forgiveness just in case. David in the Bible said, forgive me for the things that I know and for the things that I don't know. Just in case. Now, moving on, my second point is, don't forget to parent. Hello, parents. You want to be your kid's BFF? That's great. Growing up, my best friends were my two brothers and my parents, okay? Yet my parents were first and primarily my parents. They had to properly raise me with the understanding that they are my authority. Yet they were also my friend when I wanted to talk to somebody. And I know that it kind of gears in from communication, but you have to properly communicate to your kids so that when it's time that they need to pour their hearts out to you, that they feel secure and comfortable in doing so. But that only comes when you know how to parent. Be consistent with your emotions. Don't come in today super freaking out, super scared about something, or angry all day, and then because you felt mom guilt, tomorrow you're going to walk in buying them gifts, giving them all of these things, giving them everything that they want because you felt bad on how you treated them yesterday. Get rid of the ups and downs, the mood swings. When you're consistent, you're able to properly parent your child, or parent your young adult, or parent your teenager, or parent whomever you are mentoring. It's funny because in being a parent, really, it's like training. You're constantly training. You're constantly training the systems in your home. You're constantly doing this or that to create a system in the house. But I tell you this, parent, you're trying to train your child, but in reality, you're training yourself to stay consistent with the process of being a parent. I was recently reminded of what it is to train a dog. I don't have dogs, and I'm not calling your kids dogs because I'm not calling my own kids dogs. But it's funny because when you're training a dog and you throw a bone out into, let's say, the backyard, and you want the dog to go get it or whatever, the dog go gets it and he brings it back. That's not really training. That's a trick. The trick is you threw the bone, the dog went to grab it, and he brought it back to you, and it's a game. It's a trick. The training really comes through when you throw the bone out and you tell the dog to stay so that it doesn't go out into the wild. So it doesn't go out and do what it wants to do and play all the time. That's the training. And when you're ready and say, okay, now it's safe to go get the bone, the dog, then you let the dog know to go get the bone, and it comes in and brings it back to you. That's the training. It's not a trick. With our family, with our children, with putting in systems into our home, that's really what it is. We're putting them into training until the day comes when they leave the coop and they are on their own and say, you know what, mom or dad, thank you, because in the process of growing up, I learned this, this, and that, and I'm ready to be on my own. I want you to know the difference that when you are at home, you're at home. My husband and I had to really understand this concept because we have a job in ministry that's 24/7. It's easy to get the bombardment of phone calls, the bombardment of messages on Facebook or Instagram, and although we love it, we know and understand that we have to allocate time for those things. It's not a 24-hour process. No. Before I am a minister, before I am a pastor, before I am an employee, I'm a mom. I'm a mom and I'm a wife. Before everything, the Bible says how we have to take care of our home. Your home is your first ministry, okay? So in doing so, when I'm at home, when my husband is at home, our time, we allocate it just for our kids. For instance, my kids came home from school yesterday and we let them know for the next 3 hours, we are all yours. We have dinner together. We're working on homework together. We're having family movie night. We're doing all of these different things. And once those 3 hours were up, we're like, okay, everybody's on their own, having to take showers, brush your teeth, and get ready for bed. And you have some alone time because kids, it's okay to give them some alone time, and it's good to give them time for family only, where they are not allowed to be by themselves. And we do that so that our kids don't feel that we're not giving them quality. You see, it's not about the hours upon hours, because children will suck up 24/7 of your time. Really, that's what it is. Yet there's no human way for that to actually work out. We have had to give them our allocated time and say, hey guys, we're all yours for these 3 hours after school today. Or this whole weekend you have mommy and daddy. But then when I have this time alone, guys, this is my homework time. I have to get some homework done if I wasn't able to get it done during the day. Or what I do sometimes is that after I put them to sleep, then I'm working on whatever I need to work on. But our kids have come to respect that. My kids are not perfect, okay? I'm not perfect. My husband is not perfect. But we have seen that through creating that type of system and communication with our kids respond beautifully, where they know that mommy and daddy are not going to pick up their cell phones. They're not going to look at the iPads. They're not going to do anything else other than give us their attention. And that's a beautiful thing. So let's turn our guilt into determination. Dr. Marie Hartwell, a leading family and child psychologist, said, used well, guilt helps us feel empathy. It helps us to connect to our child and get busy making needed changes. So there's no better way like the present, right? Moms out there, dads out there, whatever happened, if your child left the home, even if you've lost a baby, even if you've lost a child, okay? Don't feel that it was your fault. And I'm telling you that right now, and I feel the Holy Spirit, because I know very well that a lot of times Satan tries to take advantage of those very, very, very vulnerable moments to try to tell you that you are not enough. I'm here to remind you, you are enough. And for all of us parents that are out there, remember, to prevent all this guilt, communicate with your kids. Talk through the process. Parent them well. Provide them systems. Provide them parameters, because they need parameters. As adults, we need parameters. Children need parameters. But above all, let us be the representation of God in our homes and show them tons and tons and tons of love, so that when it's their time to go to the Father and when it's their time to pray, they know full well that God's going to respond to them in love, that God's going to respond to them quickly, or that God's going to respond to them in a manner that they are secure and comfortable in. My parents taught me how to pray when I was a kid, and they showed me so much love that by the time I started growing in my own intimacy with God, it was easy. Because I said, man, if my dad was able to show me this much love, if my mom was able to show me this much love, it was a natural understanding that my Father in heaven showed it to me. If you have had a childhood that was very difficult and your parents didn't show you the love that you needed, or it was abusive, guess what? You can be the vehicle of change to break that past and say, God, you are my Father and you are the one that I need. Show me your love so that I can show it to others. So lastly, remember, kids will grow up and make their own decisions, okay? Don't put it on your shoulders that it's all your fault because my kid left my home. It's all my fault that my kids are hitting each other or they said something bad to each other. Remember, there's an entire world out there that's influencing them as well, all right? And I'm saying it's not all your fault, but I'm also saying let's be mindful of what we do ourselves so that we can be the proper image of God to them. Well, friends, that's all that I have today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please, if you like what you heard, press the subscribe button beneath me, put a thumbs up if you like it, and share it. Share it with your friends, whomever, and pay it forward. From my tribe to yours, have an amazing week.